Hello, welcome to Live with Anton Gunn. I'm so excited about being with you this week. As you can see, I'm not in my home office. I'm actually on location in Richmond, Virginia. I'm back in my home state of Virginia attending a business opportunity conference. And I stepped away from the conference to make sure I did my live this week. It is 2 p.m. East Coast time, it's 11 a.m. Pacific. I'm really excited about what I want to share this week and the entire month. Now, let me just go ahead and frame this up for you. In 2023 is the 50th anniversary of hip hop music and culture. That's right, 50 years ago, hip hop started. And in the month of August, what I have decided to do is to really do a deep dive into leadership, culture, and organization and use the lens of hip hop to do it. So you're going to hear a few stories, a few lessons, but most importantly, whether you know hip hop or not, you're going to take away some action steps and some frameworks and a mindset that you need to have to be successful as a leader. So every Wednesday this month will be a leadership lesson through the lens of hip hop music and culture. And so today I want to jump right in and get started and give you a broad framework for where we're going to go with this content. But if you have a pen and a pad, if you're ready to learn, if you're trying to develop yourself as a leader, if you're really to learn to pick up a nugget that's going to help you to be more impactful, more influential, and to become that leader that everybody in your organization will admire and build a culture where your organization will thrive and you'll keep your best people, today is the day we start that journey through the lens of hip hop. So let me go ahead and get started. So the first thing I want you to understand is that, as you know, and if you've watched any of my social media accounts, if you watch anything, I've been talking about hip hop and what it has meant to me. Hip hop is an art form that has multiple elements. You have rappers, you have DJs, you have breakdancers, you have graffiti artists, and you have people who own their own style, their own uniqueness in the workplace. Now, I'm going to come back and talk about style at a later point in time. But right now, I want to focus on one of the most prominent elements of hip hop and one of the most important elements, and that is the rapper or the MC. Now, when I say rapper or MC, I'm talking about a person who grabs a microphone and stands on a stage in front of a crowd, and they spit rhymes, they write rhymes, they say rhymes in front of an audience, really trying to convey messages. They go in the studio and they record these on songs. I mean, it literally is the embodiment of the culture at this point in time. It wasn't always the embodiment of the culture, but we know that there's some very famous rappers. So I want you to think about right now, what's a famous rapper that you know? Who is a famous rapper that you know? If you want to drop the name of a famous rapper that you know, maybe the one that you love, please, by all means, drop it into the comment section, because I want to see, what do you think about hip hop? Who do you know? You might know some newer artists that I don't know, because I'm telling you, I really kind of stopped listening to hip hop, the new music, if I will. I listen to a lot of classic stuff, but I stopped listening to most of the new hip hop because I'm just of a different generation. I'm 50 years old. So a 50-year-old is not going to listen to music the same way I did when I was 21, 25, or even 16. But that's beside the point. So just drop your name or your rapper in. Now, what I want to do is I want to give you a lesson today about speaking up for what you believe in. When I talk about leaders, I believe one of the things that all leaders should do is to speak up for what they believe in. When they see something wrong inside the organization, if they see the organization doing things that they believe are antithetical to the mission, you should speak up at all times. Like when I worked in healthcare, there was one thing that was really clear that we used to try to drive messages around, is that everybody is a leader. And so if you are a nurse and you see a physician walk into a room and grab the wrong instrument to begin surgery, you should speak up. You don't want that person to make a mistake. And so the powerful lesson is, you should always speak up for what you believe is right. And if you see something wrong, to do that. We used to tell the same thing to people who were known as environmental service technicians. And these are the people who clean hospital rooms. Their job is to make sure that a hospital room is free of infection, is free of any kind of bacteria or disease that could make the next patient sick. So when they would clean a room, they would do their best to keep it clean. And one of the stories that I remember is an EVS employee telling me that they were in a room cleaning a room while a physician came in the room. And the physician came in and began to go and talk to the patient. And there's one thing that the physician forgot to do when they walked in the room, and that was to wash their hands. Now, if you know anything about hospitals or doctor's offices, you incessantly see physicians washing their hands. Their hand hygiene must be high because it's how you prevent infections. And so this EVS worker was telling me that a physician came into the room and didn't immediately wash their hands when they walked over to the patient. And when that happened, that EVS worker spoke up and said, "Doctor, you need to wash your hands." Now, some people would tell you that it takes a lot of courage, a lot of audacity, a lot of unmitigated gall for someone who works an hourly wage of between $15 and $20 an hour to clean a hospital room to speak up to a physician who might make $250 an hour or $300,000 a year or $500,000 a year because they're a doctor of some sort. That what right do you, as the lowest paid, low employee in an organization, speak up to one of the highest paid and highest valued people in the organization? Well, what makes you speak up is that EVS worker knew what she believed in, and that hand hygiene and keeping patients safe was the most important thing you should do in any aspect of healthcare. So that means it doesn't matter what your title is, how much money you got, how many years you went to school. Everybody should know the basics, and that is keep the room clean, keep patients safe, prevent infection, and wash your hands, period. So when this EVS worker spoke up, it was a powerful lesson of how to speak up for what you believe in. Now, I want you to know that that lesson is universal to all leaders. And that lesson came to me personally through the lens of hip hop. Now, what do I mean through the lens of hip hop? I'm a big hip hop fan. I can tell you over and over again stories. And if you read any of my books, whether it's The Audacity of Leadership or whether it's The Presidential Principles, you will know how important hip hop is to me. Why was it important to me? Because hip hop gave me my social consciousness. Like, I really began to understand what I believe in, what's right and what's wrong, and how I should show up as a leader when I fell in love with hip hop. Hip hop actually gave me voice. My wife doesn't believe this. My daughter doesn't believe this. But in middle school, I was not popular and I was kind of shy. I wasn't a kid that everybody knew. I wasn't a kid that everybody liked. I didn't have a lot of friends in middle school. I was just kind of in that awkward stage. And I was really, really shy. I was really insecure. And it's because of my love for hip hop, that my passion around hip hop, my passion around the culture is when I became a leader and started to speak up for what I believed in. Now, how does hip hop give that to me? Well, if you know anything about hip hop, you know that the MC, the rapper in the group, is the person who sets the tone. They're the person who starts the party, the person who has the creative and gifted rhyme style that gets everybody excited and engaged. And that was so fascinating to me, that just by holding a microphone and having something to say, that people would pay attention to you, that people would listen to you, and people would respond to you. That was powerful to me. And that's why today, as a speaker, as a keynote speaker that speaks at dozens of events every year across the country, that I love the microphone. I teach leadership. I teach about culture. I teach you how to be better than your best. I can teach that every day, and I love to do it on stage with a microphone. So I don't rhyme, I don't rap, but I do teach with a microphone. And so I got that from the early stages of hip hop. Now, here's the lesson that I want you to know about speaking up for what you believe in. Here's the lesson that I want you to understand about speaking up for what you think is important, what you find is visionary. And the lesson is not everybody is going to value what you have to say. Not everybody is going to believe you when you say it. Not everybody is going to care about you, and they're not even going to like you when you speak up. But you have to have the attitude of an MC and still speak up anyway. Now, what's the lesson? If you go all the way back to the origin of hip hop, you go back to the very beginning of the culture, that rappers were pretty much local kids. Now, when I mean local kids, in the earliest days of hip hop, most, if not all of the rappers were in the Bronx, New York. They weren't entire New York City. They weren't out in Queens. They weren't out in all kinds of places around New York State or even around the country. There were no rappers in California in the early days of hip hop, 1971, 72, 73, 74. There weren't a lot of LA rappers. There weren't any Southern rappers. There weren't any rappers in the Midwest. They were only in the Bronx. And in the Bronx, what those rappers used to say when they would grab a microphone and get on stage, they would literally say, I'm the best rapper in the whole world. I'm the best of the best of the best. And there's nobody better than me because I'm the best. Now I'm being facetious and repeating the best, but the point is rappers were braggarts on the microphone. They rapped that they believed that they were the best. They literally would say that they were the best. But many of them had never really traveled outside of their neighborhood. They never traveled out of Forest Hill projects. They never traveled outside of their small communities, Soundview. But they would literally say that they were the best. They may have only been in Katona Park, but they would say that they were the best rapper in the world. But they really were only the best rapper in their neighborhood. And over time, as hip hop began to grow, there were other rappers who sprouted up in other communities, some in Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island, Harlem, other places. And those rappers started saying the same kind of things, that they were the best rapper in the whole world. But like the Bronx rappers, they were only the best rappers in their neighborhood, that they literally were only in Queens, and they say that they were the best rapper alive. But as hip hop began to grow, rappers began to sprout up all over the country. And they all were locally in their neighborhood saying that they were the best rapper alive, that they were the best rapper in the world. They literally bragged and had a position and a vision that they were the best. But how do you really know that you're the best when you've never left your neighborhood? You might perceive yourself to be the best. You might have the confidence that you're the best, but there's no objective way to measure what you're speaking about, that you are the best. That is when the creation of the battle became the true test of what the best looked like, and most importantly, how you grew your tribe and your followers and your support as a leader. Now, what am I saying to you? I'm saying to you that these rappers who were in one neighborhood or the other would literally say that they were the best, but had no evidence to be so. And the only way you could prove that you were the best was to get out of your comfortable neighborhood where everybody knew your name, everybody liked you, everybody supports you because they had seen you over and over and over again, to leave your neighborhood and go to another neighborhood and battle against a rapper who said that they were the best from that neighborhood. So here's the imagery. You live in the Bronx, New York, and you've said over and over again that you're the best, but you were the only best in your neighborhood. And the only way you could prove that was to leave the comfort and confines of your neighborhood and go over to Queens and battle another rapper who was in the Queens neighborhood saying that they were the best rapper of all time, but they had never been outside of Queens. So you had to go to a neutral site, or better yet, if you really wanted to be the best rapper alive, you would go to a hostile site. You would go into their neighborhood on their turf and battle them. Now, what does a battle look like? I want you to think of it as a culturally inspired with beats and rhymes debate. That is a debate. You have two opposing sides, two opposing positions, and they literally show up and they compete to see who is the absolute best at this debate. But you're not necessarily measuring only the argument that you make, but you're measuring how you present the argument and whether the crowd responds to the argument. Do you get the applause? Do you get the oohs and ahs whenever you say your lines and your rhymes? And so the whole point is, if you really believe that you have something to say, then you have to speak up for what you believe in. And you have to be willing to get out of your comfort zone and go to a place that is uncomfortable for you to share that message. You have to go in front of an audience who may not like you, who may not agree with you, who may not even know who you are, but you have to have the confidence, the unmitigated gall, the audacity to speak up about those things that you believe in. You have to do that. And that's what the greatest rappers did. And so the battle rap is this contest between two different opposing artists, MCs, rappers, who literally would rhyme in front of a crowd to see who was the crowd favorite. And if you were really good, if you had a compelling, coherent message with great style and you looked the part, then you could have the chance to win a battle. But it was not easy because, again, it's like in sports. Like, there's a reason why most teams don't win when they are playing away games, because you don't have home field advantage. You're uncomfortable because you're in somebody else's space and you're just like a guest there. You're not a part of their space. You're a guest there. And so the home team wins more times than not. So in a battle, it's very similar. But here's what I would tell you, that the greatest leaders, the greatest teams, the greatest rappers are the ones who get comfortable being uncomfortable, that they get comfortable being on the road in somebody else's environment and delivering a message that is compelling and doing their best to win the battle, debate, or the game. So I'm telling you that if you want to be that leader, you first got to speak up for what you believe in. Now, before you can speak up for what you believe in, you got to believe it first. And there's so many people who don't believe in themselves. They don't believe that they deserve to lead. They don't believe that they have what it takes to take the organization in a bigger and better direction. And even if you are a leader already, you might have some things that you've been wanting to say, but you've been so afraid to say it. But I'm telling you, you got to speak up for what you believe in. And you may have to deliver that message to an audience that doesn't like you at all, that won't believe you, that won't agree with you, that you're going to feel very uncomfortable trying to make that argument in an uncomfortable place. Now, I will tell you that if you do this, here are the outcomes that you want to have happen and that are likely to happen if you as a leader go into an uncomfortable environment to speak up for what you believe in. The first things first is, number one, you're going to see if you can prove why you deserve to lead. See, the greatest rappers in their own neighborhood, when they would go and battle in other neighborhoods, the first thing that they were trying to prove is that they actually were good. Because even if you didn't win the battle, the audience would be able to tell, does this person have a rhyme style and do they make good rhymes and are they compelling? You're not really looking for anything else other than the validation that I know what I know and I'm good at what I do. That's the first thing, is to be good at leading, be good at what you're doing. The second thing you hope to get out when you go in battle, and this is the one that is really important, and that is respect. See, people will respect the fact that you made a decision to speak truth to power. They will respect the fact that you got out of your comfort zone and you came over here and said some things that might have been very uncomfortable for you and uncomfortable for us to hear, but you were willing to come and deliver the message. If you are really good, you will be able to mentally come out with respect for delivering a message. People will respect your honesty, your transparency, and you're willing to put your values and your belief system on the line to share what you're thinking and what you think the organization needs. And in rap battles, that's what most rappers wanted, is they just wanted the respect. They wanted the respect that they knew the craft, that they knew the art, they had the ability to deliver the rhymes. That's really all you wanted. Now, here's the final thing that you hope to get out of a rap battle. And that is, you want to be able to prove that you can do it. Your goal is to try to get their respect. But if you're actually really good at what you deliver, you will create fans and supporters in the process. That's right. If you get out of your comfort zone and go and battle in someone else's community and you deliver the content the way you're supposed to deliver it, you're going to get their respect because you showed up. But if your argument is compelling, if your vision is compelling, if you have some great context for the audience, then you might win some fans and a new tribe of supporters who believe and support you. And some of the greatest rappers, how they grew and developed a reputation is they went from battle to battle and they won the crowd over and they created an army of fans that followed them straight to the top. You can do that too as a leader. Now, here's the bonus one. This is the bonus one that I think everybody should take notes on, is that sometimes as a battle rapper, you would go and battle in uncomfortable places. You would deliver your content, you would get the respect, and you would win the crowd over. But that opposing MC, the person that you battled against, sometimes they stage your mortal enemy because you beat them in a battle. And nobody likes to lose in hip hop. Nobody wants to lose a battle at all. But sometimes, even when you better their best and you win the battle, you will win not only a friend, but y'all will make a decision to join up together and create a stronger group, a bigger group. And so some solo rappers who went to battle other people found not only a friend, but someone in common, and they created a group. And that group was larger than the individual. And so your leadership lesson is that when you debate difficult topics, subjects that you believe in, and you share that message in uncomfortable spaces, your goal first is to deliver a coherent argument. Your second goal is to get respect for making that argument. The third goal is you might win some people over to your side, to your belief system. But the last thing that you want is to create allies as you continue to try to make progress and change in your organization. See, I fundamentally believe that if you're going to transform culture, you can't do it by yourself. You're not a superhero. You have to build a tribe of fans, supporters, and you have to create allies. That's what winning culture is all about. But you will never win culture if you don't first speak up for what you believe in. So I hope this lesson made sense to you. I hope you get value out of this. If you want more content like this, I want you to like and share this message with every person, because my goal is to help you to become that leader that everybody will admire. I want to give you the tools, the resources, and the information, and in a way that's totally authentic to me. And that is talking about my love and affection for the greatest musical, cultural art form that the earth has ever seen, and that is hip hop. So I hope everybody have a fantastic Wednesday. We'll see you back here next week, 2 p.m. East Coast time, 11 a.m. Pacific. And everybody make sure, get in where you fit in. Have a fantastic day. Take care.